Welcome, everyone, to downtown Utica, Michigan. Just about underway here. Another fine matchup. It's the visiting Hoppers here today, taking on the home Utica Unicorns. Today's matchup is presented by Fairy Tale Entertainment. Another nice Sunday fun day here at the ballpark for all the kids. Should be a great, fantastic day for baseball, topping out just around 79 degrees at game time here today. Jeremy Otto alongside Jason Ross Jr. to bring you the call here today. Two teams that played each other the other day, Jason.
That's true. Utica and Eastside going head-to-head. 4-4 draw at the end of the day due to the time limit a couple of days ago. But fun pitching matchup featuring Miguel Sereno on the Unicorn side and Pierce Banks for the Hoppers. Beginning our pitching chat with Pierce Banks, the right-hander who went to Adrian College, is making his 7th start of the season today. The 6th, Jeremy, didn't quite go as planned. Season high, 4 runs allowed on 6 hits throughout the course of 4 innings of work against the Mammoths recently. But prior to that, Pierce Banks has looked good by way of the creativity. He won't necessarily overpower you with the 4-seam and 2-seam fastball, but as the slider, the changeup, the curveball, can really dart his pitches in and out of the zone and change eye levels, working in and out. So that creativity has impressed for him when he's had success. It's been about drawing swings and misses with those breaking balls. Last time he faced Utica, it backed up his previous outings against Utica. I should say half of those 6 starts so far this year have come against Utica, and all 3 of those starts against the Unicorns, he's only allowed a single earned run. So he likes going up against this Utica team, and flipping the script over now to Miguel Sereno, who will take the bump for the Unicorns, has been a consummate pro throughout the course of the season so far. When you examine Sereno's arsenal, fastball, changeup, and slider mix, the 4-seam fastball has had high velocity throughout the course of the year, consistently in kind of the 91 to 93 range. That changeup has been effective. The 2-seam and change are probably the most impactful pitches for him. The slider, however, is one that he sprinkles in less than the others, but most think in this league that pitch, if he continues to hone it, could be the gap over the bridge to getting him to potentially an affiliate, which is his goal at the end of the day, to reach playing at an affiliate level and move on from there. Now, you examine his starts against Eastside so far this season. Much like Pierce Banks on the opposite side, Sereno has had success against this Eastside team, has not allowed a single earned run dating back to his last start against Eastside so far this year. So we'll see if he can continue that today against an Eastside team that's been powerful of late when it comes to their lineup. But Jeremy, dating back to just yesterday, we had a couple of fun matchups in our doubleheader. 2 games, different, equally entertaining, but different.
Yeah, no doubt. I mean, our last doubleheader of the year as well, which is kind of weird because you show up at the park on Sunday and you expect to call 2 games. But, going forward as we head towards the playoffs, just single games on Saturday starting at 7:05 Eastern time here at the ballpark. But Game 1 was all about the pitching. It didn't start that way, which was kind of interesting. We had a home run and a triple right away by Connor Bagneski and Eric Santiago. Both of those runs were plated in the end, giving the Beavers a 2-0 lead. It would be cut down a couple innings later to a 2-1 advantage, but then it was all about both pitching matchups in that game, and certainly really impressive on both sides to do what they were able to do.
Oh, yeah. Fun games, a couple of fun ones certainly on our last doubleheader. Doesn't feel like it should be our last doubleheader,
I know,
but it
right?
was. And now moving over to the lineups for today, we kick things off on the Hoppers side, technically the away team today. Ben McConnell will lead off and play in center field. Juan Lopez Rios will bat second and play at shortstop. Pedro Castellano will play at second base and bat third. Felix Abaret will do the cleanup hitting and do the DH role as well. Joe Burke will bat fifth and play in left field. Colton Horner will bat sixth and do the catching. Greg Vaughn Jr. will play in right field and bat seventh. Nick Kreitzer will bat eighth and play at first base. Christian De Los Santos rounds out the lineup batting ninth.
And before we get into the Unicorns lineup here for a second, you look at that middle of the order for this Hoppers team: Abaret, Burke, Horner. 2 newer additions. Horner has obviously been in the league, but he was acquired via trade for Paul Nochi's team. And then Joe Burke has taken the league by storm with his slugging as well.
Yeah, Jeremy, that's the 4-5-6 today in a very impressive Hoppers lineup. When you examine that particular section, kind of the heart of the order there, Abaret consistently getting on base, hits an 8 out of his last 10. Burke backs him up with the power in the 5 spot. We've seen him connect in each of his 5 games so far in the USPBL. Homer in there as well. A couple of extra base hits in the mix. And then for Colton Horner, he homered just a couple of days ago against the Utica pitching staff at Hill C today. So that's a really nice 4-5-6 slot. I love how they're positioned. We'll see if they can continue that success on this Sunday afternoon.
Well, over to the Unicorns lineup, also brought to you by AAA of Michigan. It's Frankie Luska leading things off and playing left field. Donovan Curiel will back him up and play third base again here today. He's been shifted around a little bit lately, a little bit of second, a little bit of third. Drew Galassi, Noah Childress, John Pitchman, your regular middle of the order, Isaac Phillips, who's turned it on lately and getting those wheels going. On the base pass will bat sixth and play right field. And it's Hodo, Rayburn, and Lambert rounding it out as they face Pierce Banks here tonight. It's the Hoppers and the Unicorns on a Sunday fun day here at the ballpark. Stick around, much more after this on the USPBL Network.
Throughout your life, from big moments to ones well-earned, we're your financial guardian angel. Alliance Catholic Credit Union.
Your neighbors are going to be jealous when they see you're getting a new Connecticut water system. Say goodbye to hard water problems. No more spots on your glassware. Your laundry will feel and smell better. Your hair and skin will look and feel better. Say goodbye to hard water problems and say hello to great tasting crystal clear water with CGC Water.
We welcome you back to Jimmy John's Field. Diamond Hoppers and the Unicorns going at it here today. The Hoppers looking to continue to arch up the standings. Today's broadcast is presented by Fairy Tale Entertainment and sponsored by the following: AAA, Ascension, Belfour Property Restoration, Budweiser, DTE Energy, Fifth Third Bank, Jimmy John's, Macomb Community College, McLaren Macomb, Metro Detroit Chevy Dealers, Pepsi, Scott's, Valpak, and UWM. We thank all those fine partners for what they do for this league. Time to take a peek at your pitching comparison, brought to you by Ascension here today. Pierce Banks and Miguel Sereno going at it on a fine Sunday for baseball, Jason.
Interesting pitching matchup here, Jeremy. You start on the side of the Unicorns. Miguel Sereno has really emerged as not only one of the better pitchers on the mound, but one of the clubhouse leaders for this Utica team that has the best record in the USPBL at 19-10 entering today. You look at Sereno's arsenal: four-seam fastball, two-seam change, and slider. The changeup and the two-seam are the most prominent pitches in his arsenal. However, if he can continue to find a groove with that slider, use it a little more and more effectively, that could potentially help him to kind of bridge that gap over to the affiliate level. And you look at on the flip side at the starting pitcher for the Beavers here, Pierce Banks. His arsenal features four-seam fastball, two-seam slider, and curve. When you examine that, the four-seam and two-seam won't overpower you. Also has the changeup in there as well. So it's more about the creativity for Pierce Banks when you examine the Beavers starter for today. And when you look at Banks, so far this season, against this Utica team in particular, hasn't allowed a single earned run in any, I should say hasn't allowed more than a single earned run in any of his 3 starts against Utica so far this year.
Take a look at the standings, brought to you by Scott's here today. As Jason mentioned, the Unicorns leading the league, but a big split of a doubleheader yesterday for the Mammoths, picking up their 15th win.
Yeah, well, that was a fun split. 2 games, both entertaining, but different and entertaining in their own rights. That first game, we saw Johnny Breedenthal, who started for the Woolly Mammoths, retire the final 18 batters that he faced in an absolute pitcher's duel, and it was really fun to watch throughout the course of that one. Austin Shea on the flip side of the equation in Game 1 was excellent as well. Now you turn to Game 2. It was a 1-run game, but a 7-6 matchup. Beavers led 5-1 at one point in that game for the Mammoths, who rattled off a 5-run 4th inning and ultimately won at 7-6. But really, really entertaining doubleheader.
Well, these Unicorns have struggled at the plate of late. How do you think they break out of it tonight?
And when you look at the Unicorns, this is a lineup that has a ton of depth up and down, 1 through 9. It's that 3-4 punch, though, of Galassi and Childress, really 3, 4, and 5 that has been good throughout the course of the season for them. John Pinchman provides the power in the 5 spot today, and a nice RBI slot in that Utica lineup. If he can get rolling, maybe you find a little return and resurgence, because the Utica Unicorns don't lose back-to-back games often. And again, it was just a draw the other night, but typically they come out on top more often than not.
Surprising to see that 219 team average. You'd think as we edge towards the playoffs that will continue, and from what we hear, 4 new players coming into the league next week as well, kind of spread between each team. The Unicorns have another position player coming in. There will be no cuts on their team, at least. Roster is expanding a little bit here as we get deeper and deeper into the season. First pitch getting closer on the USPBL Network. Stick with us.
About the promo that Jimmy's John's got going on? 5 off 20? How they pulling it off? Magic? You got David's Copperfields in there? Show yourself, Copperfields!
Jimmy John's. $5 off orders of 20 or more.
Don't stop me now. Don't stop me, 'cause I'm having a good time. Shooting star leaping through the sky like a tiger, defying the laws of gravity. I'm a racing car passing by like Lady Godiva. I'm gonna go, go, go. There's no stopping
Elite athletes want to be closer to what fuels them. So we built them a gym behind the milk section.
What's going on here?
Oh, they're training.
What? In the milk section? What is happening? What you guys are doing here?
I've always had milk in my fridge, but I've never really trained in a fridge surrounded by milk. I feel like I've been able to level up my training and do things that others haven't.
No, they're training back there. It's a full gym.
Hey guys, keep it up.
Being close and nearby milk, it's how I hydrate, it's how I recover. It's important to be in arm's reach.
Welcome back to Jimmy John's Field, everyone. Hoppers and the Unicorns going at it here today on a bright, sunny Sunday. You wouldn't want it anywhere else as we take a look at the defense behind Miguel Sereno here today. Brought to you by AAA of Michigan. It's Frankie Luska in left field, Drew Galassi in center, Isaac Phillips in right, Donovan Curiel over at third, Childress at first, Hodo and Lambert up. Rayburn behind the plate here today. Miguel Sereno back on the mound here for the Utica Unicorns. Sereno comes into play today with a 3.08 ERA, his 9th start here today. 38 innings pitched, 17 walks to 28 Ks, and looking to set down this Hoppers lineup on what is a 7-inning contest this afternoon, Jason.
Should be a fun one. We mentioned Sereno's skill set in the open. These two teams going head-to-head, and it's been fun when they've met up so far throughout this year. We saw that on Friday. Hoping that this one can maybe replicate the level of baseball we saw last night as well between the Mammoths and Beavers. Those were a couple of really fun clashes. Miguel Sereno, one of the more fun personalities in the USPBL, and when he's feeling it on the mound, he can really carry that lightheartedness into, I guess, what translates over to a calmness for him against any batter in this league. Last time out against this Eastside team, he didn't allow a single earned run throughout 4 innings of work. So he's certainly hoping to replicate that today.
Donovan Curiel begins this game, pinching in at third base just outside of the cutout here. Everybody else back as Ben McConnell looks at a pitch outside, 92-mile-an-hour fastball. First pitch at 1:08 here today. (1-0), big cut and a miss. Miguel Sereno's goal, I'm sure, here today will be limiting the walks the first time through. That's been a bit of an issue for him. First time through in order, 13 walks to 18 strikeouts on the year. It gets a little better as the game goes on. Flub to the left, might be a tough play. Curiel charges, and he can't make that barehanded play.
One of those tough, slow-developing plays, Jeremy. I noticed today, just looking down at my score sheet from a positioning standpoint, it was interesting to watch Curiel slide over to third, Lambert at shortstop today, and even for some of the best in the business, and Curiel certainly is among that category in the USPBL when it comes to infielders. That was a tough one to get a hold of, and McConnell, as he usually does, reaching base out of that leadoff spot.
Screamer off the bat, 26 miles an hour there. McConnell will take it, though, as he picks up a single. Swing and a miss by Juan Lopez Rios here. Pedro Castellano, Felix Abaret, and Joe Burke. Your Zach Hart Agency, 3 men after him. Big swing and a miss. Bringing the heat with the fastball here early on. 94 miles an hour there.
Juan Lopez Rios. It's interesting to see the dynamic in the 1-2 right now for the Eastside lineup. Because as we know, earlier in the season, it was Lopez Rios in that leadoff spot. Now McConnell, when Lopez Rios missed the entire month of July, had to step in, fill that void. More often than not, he did what he did in his first AB here, reached base. But Juan Lopez Rios certainly, doesn't matter if he's 1 or 2, he's been effective as a contact hitter.
Waiting on the 0-2. Punches it back again. Fastball at 92. Lopez Rios checking into play today, 339 in the average column. Chop to third, Curiel charging again, loses his footing. And a frustrating start for Donovan at third base here today.
As you mentioned there, Jeremy, just kind of lost his footing charging in on that ball. You don't typically see him do that. Works a lot specifically on his footwork time and time again, day after day. So an interesting start defensively for Utica and this East Side team with Pedro Castellano coming up to bat. Now you mentioned in our pregame show that 4, 5, 6 of Aberrett, Burke, and Horner. We might see those guys already in the first inning.
They have ruled that one a hit as well. Runners on first and second, 2 tough plays at third base here. Sereno has gotten the first pitch strike on every batter thus far. Going to be flustering for him, too, with 2 soft contacts to third as throws the 91-mile-an-hour heater by Castellano. Holds for an extra beat. The 0-2 is punched back to the screen. Mostly fastballs so far here today from Miguel. 1 changeup thrown thus far. He'll throw that about 24% on average. Also has the slider, which he's yet to bring out. The 0-2. Lunging at that one. Took a bit off. That might have been a really hard changeup there in the end.
And the fastball has had consistent velocity for Sereno throughout the course of outings. You hear about pitchers having high velocity, but it's more so about how long can that last during the course of an outing. And for Sereno, it stayed consistent in that 91 to 93 range throughout 4 or 5 innings of work most of the time.
Swing and a miss. Boy, did he want that first out. Theoretically, if all the balls were handled cleanly. Tough plays for Curiel, obviously, at third, but he could have been out of this hitting 1, 2, 3. Instead, a couple infield hits. And now Felix Aberrett coming up. We talked about 4, 5, 6 in this lineup in the pregame show and what they can do. 2 new additions to this team. Joe Burke added just recently, just 18 at-bats for him. And Colton Horner obviously has been in the league the whole year, second year as well here in the USPBL, but new to this Hoppers squad over the last few weeks. Fastball away at 93.
Horner's been a good addition, and so is Aberrett to this cleanup spot.
Fly ball to left center field, carrying on Luska and Galassi towards the big part of the field, the left center, and it's gone. Boy, is he on some kind of tear. Grand slam the other day and a 3-run shot here in the first inning. 3-0 Hoppers.
Gosh, Jeremy, we talked about the power behind him in Joe Burke and Colton Horner, who have both homered their fair share of times this season, but Aberrett bringing the juice early out of the cleanup spot and doing his job. You want that number 4 hitter to be able to drive home the guys at the top of the lineup, and he did exactly that there. Now hits in 9 of his last 11 games.
Slugging .537 coming into play here today, his 6th home run of the year. And when you take out some of the newcomers, I think you should, just based off the amount of at-bats they have, he is 2nd in the league in slugging percentage coming into this game now.
He told me earlier this season, just trying to be relaxed, doing what he can instead of trying to do too much is the simple mindset he's carrying into these at-bats.
Slider to Burke. First breaking ball we've seen so far.
There's that slider that Sereno's trying to hone in on, maybe use a bit more often and more effectively. Still discovering that grip, but there it was.
Back to back. In for strike 3. Burke not incredibly happy about the call, but that's the 2nd strikeout of the inning. Just trying to get out of things here versus Colton Horner.
Yeah, not a ton of extra base power off of Sereno either this season, so that adds to, I guess, the rarity and how much we're kind of taking in awe what Felix Averette has been doing of late.
Colton Horner looks at another slider outside. Well, Sereno says, I guess if the fastball isn't going to blow by hitters, he's obviously gotten some soft contact other than the home run. I'm going to throw the slider. And it changes pace with the fastball as 92 is cut on the corner for strike 1.
Yeah, both these lineups have really been crushing fastballs throughout the course of the season so far. So staying away from the barrel with those breaking pitches is key. That time goes back to the fastball at 93. The variation is important. And that was a good fastball to kind of split the heart of the plate. But 2-1 hitters count here, trying to get rid of this lineup.
Chop to Lambert. Unicorns thankful it's right at him. A lot of balls have not in the first inning. Leads to 3 runs. Big shot by Felix Averette, his 6th home run of the year to left center field, driving in McConnell, and Lopez Rios giving this Hoppers team a 3-0 lead. Time for your sweetheart of the game, presented by Thrifty Florist here today. Thrifty Florist is proud to sponsor the USPBL, and it looks like they actually might do that a little bit later in our game here today. Back with more after this here on the USPBL Network.
Attention, Michigan, there is absolutely no need to drive all over town searching for new flooring. When the Carpet Guys will come to your house on your schedule, we'll bring our store to your door so you can shop in the comfort and privacy of your own home. And you'll love our huge selection. Buy right now with interest-free financing for up to 4 years. You can carpet your entire home for as little as $11.99 per month. Let the Carpet Guys take the stress out of buying new flooring. Call for a free in-house shopping experience today.
Be wise, call the Carpet Guys at 855 for my guys.
You hear about the promo that Jimmy's John's got going on? 5 off 20? How they pulling it off? Magic? You got David's Copperfields in there? Show yourself, Copperfields!
Jimmy John's. $5 off orders of 20 or more.
Well, we welcome you back to the ballpark. Really nice moment of silence there. All the players saluting with their hats off and in their respective positions. So a cool but somber moment here at the ballpark, as well as you welcome you back to inning number 1, the bottom half of things here. It's Frankie Luska, Donovan Curiel, and Drew Galassi to lead things off. Jason.
Frankie Luxka at the top of the Utica order. Been the storyline all season long. Donovan Curiel slides into the 2 spot today. He's been in different spots of this order, but the bat is effective no matter where you place him. Drew Galassi in that 3-4 punch I talked about with Noah Childress. So we'll see if they can bounce back today. Again, 4-4 draw the other day to the time limit. But it's a Utica lineup that's more often than not finds a way to give their pitchers run support. And we'll see if they can do that against Pierce Banks.
Banks carries in a 3.28 ERA into play today. Been a little bit unlucky behind him as well, but still collecting a good ERA, checking into play today. Doesn't get a lot of opportunities to start, number 1, because he's been stretched out a bit more lately in terms of in-between outings. Watching him very carefully after 87 innings in college this year makes sense. 24 2/3 innings in the USPBL so far. And Frankie Luska will be the first man up here in the first. 28 walks to 23 Ks for Frankie. Always like to reference that because since he got to the USPBL, that's been one of his stories, certainly. On base machine for the Unicorns as he looks at strike 1. It's 28 walks, the most in the USPBL coming into play today. Curveball high, 1-1 on Luska.
Walks in 3 out of his last 4 games entering today. Leading the team in that category. 238 batting average against righties so far this season, to 067 against lefties.
Stroke to Castellano. Right there for the first out here in the first.
Next up, the third baseman, number 14, Donovan Curiel.
So Miguel Sereno in the first, 2 really soft singles on the infield to McConnell and Lopez Rios. They were both plated on a monster home run to left center field by Felix Amoret. His 6th of the season, drove in all 3, and then Sereno was able to get the last 2 out. He recorded his 2nd strikeout of the inning and a ground out to Colton Horner. So the middle of that lineup delivers, as we talked about before. Donovan Curiel looks at strike 1. And at some point, you just got to think that this Unicorns lineup is going to turn it around as well. We're one of the better hitting teams, certainly the first month and a half of this season. July hasn't been too friendly to them. Turn of the calendar, they're hoping that August is a bit better, but despite that, still at the top of the USPBL standings. Fastball at 89 by him.
This Utica team still has only lost consecutive games once this season, which is astounding. A little over 2 months in. That's how they built up that lead in the standings early on, piggybacking off of last year's championship run. They're hoping that maybe in a few weeks they're doing similar things when the postseason rolls around.
Yep, September 11th, really not that far away, less than a month at this point. Check in on August 15th here today. Two swing and a miss. Banks records his first strikeout here today. 2 up and 2 down in the first.
Next up, the center fielder number 24, Drew Galassi.
And now Drew Galassi looking to come up with a big hit here in the first. Just 1 extra base hit in his last 10. Was a double 4 games ago. Had some good swings the other day, though. Hit 2 balls hard into the outfield for singles. Fastball filters in for strike 1. Average fastball for Banks around 88. He's been as high as 91 so far this year. Does really good work with the fastball overall. He's a guy that'll draw some decent contact for you as well.
Yeah, breaking balls are important pitches for him, and we've already seen 1 strikeout when he can draw swings and misses with those.
Castellano, second play here the first inning, and Pierce Banks able to work a 1-2-3 inning. Nice job. Ground out, strikeout, ground out here as we head to the second.
Attention, Michigan, there is absolutely no need to drive all over town searching for new flooring. When the carpet guys will come to your house on your schedule, we'll bring our store to your door so you can shop in the comfort and privacy of your own home. And you'll love our huge selection. Buy right now with interest-free financing for up to 4 years. You can carpet your entire home for as little as $11.99 per month. Let the carpet guys take the stress out of buying new flooring. Call for a free in-house shopping experience today.
Be wise, call the carpet guys at 855 for my guys.
You hear about the promo that Jimmy's John's got going on? 5 off 20? How they pulling it off? Magic? You got David's Copperfields in there? Show yourself, Copperfields!
Jimmy John's. $5 off orders of 20 or more.
Jeremy and Jason back with you here. 7, 8, 9, 2 up for the Eastside Diamond Hoppers here in the second. Greg Vaughn Jr. striding to the plate here. Started to swing it a bit more consistently as this year has gone on, and you love his home run the other day.
Yeah.
Getting in a similar spot as Felix Abarrett as well to left center. In for strike 1.
He'd love to pick up where Abarrett left off for this Hoppers lineup. And when you examine Greg Vaughn Jr., what stood out to me again today, we talked about position changes and players sliding up and down the lineup. Vaughn Jr. in the bottom third today out of that 7 spot. I'm just kind of examining these changes down the final stretch of the season. What looks best defensively, what looks best offensively. And maybe Vaughn Jr. is that charge in the bottom third, which is just as important as the middle third and those first 3. So curious to see if he stays in this spot of the order moving forward.
And if he does, it's a pretty nice luxury to have. You have a guy with some pop, some line drive ability, hitting 7th for you as Hodo under that one for the first out in the second.
First baseman number 44, Nick Kreitzer.
Well, the Hoppers trying to prevent the situation of last year, losing to the Beavers after being the 2nd seed in the USPBL playoffs. The Beavers were in tough sledding in terms of pitching by the time the championship game rolled around. So tough for them to win that game against the Unicorns. But that's the thing in this league. I mean, obviously you can't have a long playoff series, and it doesn't really make sense to do that since these teams have been playing each other for so long. Here's the 0-1 chopped foul. But at the same time, if you get that number 2 seed
or if you get especially that number 1 seed, you're able to settle in. Number 1, you wait to the championship. Number 2, you make it to the semifinal right off the bat. So you elude that 3-4 game, which, unless you're really, really deep pitching-wise in the starting category, it's hard to navigate playing 3 days in a row because you just don't do it very often here in the season, if at all.
It'll be something to certainly get accustomed to, and kind of back on that note of the 7, 8, 9 spots. Kreitzer in the 8 spot. So you're looking at Vaughn Jr., who did just pop out, but currently entering today, riding a 4-game on-base streak. Kreitzer, who's had just such an incredibly impressive resurgence, late stages of July, early August. He's on a 5-game on-base streak, so that's a really nice 7-8.
Nice liner to the gap in left center field. Some oohs and ahs in the ballpark as that bangs off the Scott sign in left center field. Kreitzer jogging his way to second, sliding for a 1-out double here in the second.
Make it now a 6-game on-base streak, and the power that he has, 6'4", 240, big, strong presence in the box. Nice patient there, didn't try to do too much, drove it to the gap, and Kreitzer continues his success.
And again, if he continues it, him hitting 8th.
I know,
here today.
Vaughn Jr. 7th.
These lineups really starting to shape themselves up. We talked about the Mammoths yesterday as well, what they've constructed, 1 through 9, pretty solid, not a lot of holes. Paul Nochi probably happy to see that here as well. Righty and righty here. 0-1 away. Fastball at 91 there from Sereno. '75-degree day here in Utica, Michigan. This tame weather expected to stay around a little bit. We'll reach back up to the 80s by the start of next week, or this week, however way you like to kind of set up your week. Here's the 1-2. Chop to the right. Childress is there for an easy play. We've seen Childress play a little bit more first lately.
Yeah, they tested Childress out in both corner infield and corner outfield early on in the season, but now beginning to settle in over at first, where he's a little more comfy based off his college days, but can more than play an adequate third base as well. Again, Curiel sliding over to third with the addition of Lambert at short.
Back to the top of the order now. Ben McConnell looks at a changeup outside, 1-0. You want to say fastball every time you see 86, but that is his changeup. Averages around 85 miles an hour off the glove. Look out. Kreitzer coming home. Not in time. Slides that right foot in. Well, bang, bang as I took a second look at it on our Facebook monitor here today, but good job by Kreitzer to read it right away.
It
and score the 4th run here.
Yeah.
Sorry, Jason.
Oh, you're okay, Jeremy. It was definitely close when you examine that interaction at home plate there. But aggressive base running is something we saw on display in the offensive output of Game 2 last night between the Woolly Mammoths and Beavers, that 7-6 finish.
.30 pitch. He looked at it for ball 4. First walk of the day for Miguel Sereno as he's into the second round of this lineup. Juan Lopez Rios hit a single of the infield variety. So him and Ben McConnell have reached every time to the plate thus far.
They both scored, plated by the home run to left center field by Felix Abaret. Childress receiving that ball over at first. It's Childress at first, Hodo at second, Lambert at short, Curiel at third base here today. Rayburn catching the pitches for Miguel Sereno. Caught most of the innings since arriving to the USPBL. Fastball away at 90 there. Sereno's pitch count elevating early in this one. Probably not what Jim Essian wants to see. The third game already this week for the Unicorns. 2-0, swing and a miss, fastball, 89, elevated, tough to catch up to there.
Yeah, it's the elevated heat that's become so prominent really at all levels of baseball when it comes to drawing swings and misses. The fastball up. Didn't used to be that way, but it's become kind of a trend of later round baseball, that high heat.
Well, they're going to swing at it.
Yeah.
Throw it there, right? Because there's not a very good percentage of guys that can catch up to it.
It goes up and in again on that last pitch there that Lopez Rios just gets a piece of. And Sereno's all of a sudden clawed his way back to a 2-2 count here. We're interested to see if he maybe goes to that changeup that you mentioned. Potentially down and away from the righty.
Very fastball heavy here today. Certainly in that first inning we saw mostly fastballs. The slider came out later. A few changeups mixed here and there. McConnell moving. Lopez Rios does swing at the high heat there and gets a piece.
Lopez Rios, 3 consecutive games with a hit entering today. Make it now 4 games in a row after his single that Jeremy mentions.
Swing and a miss. Changeup. Caught him out in front. Nice job by Sereno on the pitch selection there. Gets his third K here today. 2 in the first and 1 here in the second.
They call me Prospects. Since the day I was born as a diver's watch, the challengers of the world have taught me many things. Life is not a numbers game. It's about challenging ourselves. No matter what happens, just follow your heart. These pioneers drive our generation forward. Not by setting records, but by never giving up. Keep going forward. Prospects.
Available at Lucido Fine Jewelry.
I enjoy renovating my home, so getting materials with my Chevy Silverado is a daily trip. But as the strongest, most advanced Silverado ever, it's perfect for all my projects. And with the most functional bed of any pickup, plus the power-up down tailgate, my Silverado helps me with everything I need. Of course, a little assist from a friend doesn't hurt.
Lease a 2021 Silverado Custom Crew Cab for just $199 a month. Put it in D and see why Chevy drives the Motor City.
Check your checking. If your account doesn't get you pumped, amped, or geeked, make the switch to Genius Checking from Genesis Credit Union. It's just genius.
Pierce Banks here today is set through a couple long innings, Jason.
Yeah, well, his offense has given him some early run support. Now a 4-run lead with which to work, and that always feels good as a pitcher. Backed up his offense after that lucrative first inning with a 3-batter inning to retire the side in order. So hoping to do more of the same in the second here, and he took care of Luxka, Curiel, and Galassi in pretty efficient fashion.
Leading off for the Utica Unicorns, the first baseman, number 12, Noah Childress.
Noah Childress, John Pitchman, Isaac Phillips. Your Zach Hart Agency 3-man duo. 4, 5, 6 in this lineup for Jim Essian here today. Ground out, strikeout, ground out for Banks in that first. Pretty efficient. 10 pitch inning. As he pounds the fastball low. Decent amount of space for Noah Childress to right center. We've seen a bit more shifting, and we'll see. Did they shift on Galassi like teams have been? I don't think they did in that first inning.
Not in that first inning. No, but you mentioned yesterday the Galassi shift. Maybe we'll see it.
A lot of the Mammoths have done that recently in the last couple of weeks. 2-0. Fastball inside. 3-0. Childress, 4 doubles, 4 home runs. 15 RBIs. And Banks, for the first time, falling behind anyone. 3 balls and no strikes. Has not even had a 2-ball count so far in this game.
Jeremy, that pitcher's duel that we saw in Game 1 yesterday between Breedenthal of the Woolly Mammoths and Shea of the Beavers, our fine analytics intern Matt Schneider on his last day today.
On the ground, Lopez Rios behind the second base bag, went up and 1 down.
Matt, obviously there are tears in our eyes because we don't want Matt to leave, but he pointed something out to me. There wasn't a single. There wasn't a single. I was saying that. There was no singles in Game 1. It was such an odd game, but the pitcher duel really produced to that. There were a couple of doubles, a triple, and a homer, but not one single yesterday in Game 1. Breedenthal retired the final 18 batters that he faced. Shea cruised. Both faced a little adversity at different points, but at the end of the day, that 2-1 duel was fun.
Well, and for a while, we were struggling to get any extra base hits, it seemed, here in the league. The home run power dipped down in July. It's since picked back up. We're at least, at a home run average for the last 10 games, you'd think at least. Aberrett proving that to be true again here today. 3-run shot in the first inning. Hopper is able to add another run in the top half of this one and to continue to shut them down here in the 7-inning scheduled contest game today. Chopped off the foot there. Dropped in the curveball. 1-2. Isaac Phillips would be next. John Hodo moved up in the order a bit here today, hitting 7. He's been on a nice little roll, 11 hits in his last 10.
I was curious to that point when they would move him up from the 9 spot to the 7 spot. Obviously, the 9 spot is crucial because you need someone to turn the order over.
1-2 high.
But with his, elevated level of success lately offensively, and we'll dive into that throughout the broadcast, it's just curious to see when they would potentially slide him up, maybe try him out in a different spot, and that's now what we're seeing in the 7 spot. So still bottom 3rd, but a little different for him.
2-2 swing and a miss. Second K for Banks here tonight. Yeah, Hodo hit second most of last year after arriving to the USPBL. But it's interesting because this Unicorns team really hasn't stolen as much as the other teams. And some of that's because of the personnel here. A few more big boppers than the other lineups have. But you look at Phillips, who's hitting 6th here today and coming to the plate. We saw him steal twice the other day, 3 for 3 on steals early on in his career. He stole 14 in college this year in the NAI. But if you have a guy like Hodo 2nd, Phillips 6th, they get on with a walk, a single, etc. Maybe move a runner, try to get some of these guys going in the offensive category. Might not be a bad thing. Curiel has some speed as well. He currently sits at the 2 spot. So I'm not sure if Jim Essian totally wants to mess with that, but here today, 6'7". You have some speed back-to-back.
Yep, athletic players in Phillips and Hodo.
And if nothing else, if he does want to keep it that way, you have the power in the middle, so creating some runs that way. But maybe you get a little small bally if your offense continues to struggle with these two here when they get on as well. Curveball low, 2-2 on Phillips. So Banks with that deep arsenal, 4-seam, 2-seam, curveball, slider, and changeup. Changeup usually is 4% of the time, so you can kind of throw that one away, but the curveball a bit ahead of the slider as well. Here's a big pitch, it's a 2-2. Best fastball of the night in terms of velocity, but missed. Full on Isaac Phillips now.
3 straight balls after starting him out 0-2. Mentioned that Banks likes to move the baseball in and out of the strike zone and change eye levels. He does that very well. Can you find the strike zone here?
Not quite. It was close. Phillips with a good eye, the first base runner here today against Banks.
Second baseman number 2, John Hodo.
So not sure you move Phillips here, being this your first base runner, and 2 outs. We saw a couple 2-out steals yesterday. Banks looking to keep him close in the process. Fastball tucks in for strike 1. We talked about it. 11 hits in his last 10 for John Hodo. Has his average up to 253. Been hanging out either below the Mendoza line or slightly above it, but now just trying to sure it out, maybe get to 260, 270 by the end of the year if he keeps rolling here. Phillips bluffs. He likes to do that from time to time. Will retreat back. Hodo takes outside.
I mentioned Hodo's success of late. Something he's worked on in particular is hitting changeups. And this arsenal from Banks that features quite a bit of off-speed pitches and breaking balls, it kind of comes in line with what Hodo has been able to take advantage of lately. I think Hodo, just based off the conversation that I've had, he's been deliberately more aggressive, but still selectively aggressive and smart at the plate.
Move close as Phillips dives back in.
Hodo told me continuing to be aggressive, hit for high average, high contact rate, but wanted more extra base hits, and he's kind of found that of late.
Three doubles taking into play here today. 7 walks to 14 strikeouts as well for John. So a healthy lead for Phillips over there. Two-step bluff once again as that's lifted out of play. Jeremy Otto alongside Jason Ross Jr. to bring the call here today. So glad you could tune in on your Sunday. 4 days, 4 games of baseball next week. No doubleheader as we talked to you about before. Summer movie night coming up on Thursday.
The Little Mermaid.
Yes. And then Friday is Key West night featuring Caribbean Blue Band.
Interesting.
in there for strike 3. Hodo stands still, and that is the 3rd K of the night for Banks. He's only allowed to walk through 2.
I'm all out of love for my old insurance. Switch to insurance. They're saving me so much. They covered my car and bundled with my home. I feel so secure to say I love insurance.
Hello, AAA Insurance.
Goodbye, insurance. Hello.
Insurance.
Get a quote and save up to 20%.
We joined Green Path and instantly felt a support around us.
They developed a plan on paper, and this is how we're going to do it.
The plan that they gave me was something that was sustainable. It was something I could do. It was actually lowering my payments monthly by hundreds of dollars.
Choosing Green Path is a no-brainer.
It's your hero of the game. We honored a bunch of those on Belfort night a couple weeks ago. I actually made a mistake there. I was kind of questioning myself. So there is no game for the movie night. It's just a movie night on Wednesday, not Thursday. So Wednesday you can see the Little Mermaid here at Jimmy John's Field. $5 general admission. You can sit on the outfield grass or in the grandstands. The gates open at 7. The movie starts at 8. The concessions will also be open. You can go to uspbl.com for tickets. August 19th, the Thursday, is Key West night featuring the Caribbean Blue Band. And specialty Eastside Diamond Hoppers Key West themed jerseys. Bright sun colors, I guess is how you would describe that, with palm trees on the sleeves and a palm tree in the middle of the Eastside Diamond Hoppers. We've had some unique and cool uniforms worn on some of these team nights this year. We had the JJ uniform last month, I believe, at some point. And the Hot Rod one as well for our first classic car night.
Yeah, those were colorful. And so were those orange ones that you just had pulled up there on the screen. The Hoppers may have one of my favorite looks in the USPBL when they go to their green uniforms.
Yes.
You hear me? I love those.
Those are cool, I agree. 2-0 on Pedro Castellano. Castellano struck out back in the first, one of 3 strikeout victims for Sereno. So him and Banks have mirrored their Ks. Sereno is just with a lot more base runners thus far. Big shot to this point. 3-run home run to left, which established this offense on the run column at least. No action in the Unicorns' pen, so they're hoping Miguel can at least get through this 3rd. Approaching 50 pitches already. His high a couple outings ago, 77. Through just 25 in his relief appearance the other day to start this week. Change up away, and Castellano will take the walk. Second walk for this Hoppers offense. Just 1 for Pierce Banks thus far. That's the only base runner he's allowed through 2 innings of work. And here comes the aforementioned Felix Abaret. Well, that's to the point, Jason, where you have to start thinking about being careful to him.
That's true. We've seen more intentional walks of late.
I don't think this is a situation necessarily for an intentional walk, and only with 1 out, it's hard to really fully pitch around him. But still, you got to be cognizant to not give him something good to hit, I guess.
That is very true. Certainly that's the mindset. Sereno is a competitor at top the mound, so he loves a good challenge like this. But Abaret is aggressive of late.
Fly ball going to hang up there to right. Phillips started back, and going out is John Hodo to make the play. We saw him make a similar play well to his right foul territory the other night.
The second basemen have been impressive over the past couple of days. That time Hodo confidently drifted back. Outfielder technically has priority there because you just think from a, I guess, philosophical standpoint, the outfielder can see that baseball. But Hodo's such a confident second baseman. No matter where he is, he'll drift over into foul territory and make up a lot of ground with his speed and athleticism. Just a really good player defensively. I think entering the season, that's perhaps what he was known for. But now of late, we've talked about his offensive capabilities, really starting to showcase in the numbers.
Straight 91-mile-an-hour fastball in for strike one. Joe Burke with the strikeout back in the first inning. That was looking. Wasn't a huge fan of the call. Got a heavy dose of slider. That's what Miguel kind of resorted to in the first after the big fly by Aberrett. 2 infield singles and the home run. That fastball tails away. Even the count at ones here.
If there are any pitches that Burke has struggled against so far this year, mentioned in his brief tenure with the USPBL, he's reached base in all 5 games he's played in, but the breaking pitches and the off-speed pitches have given him a little trouble.
On the ground, back to Sereno. Feeds to second in time. Over to first. Got him. Nice job. 1-6-3. Lambert always turns it fairly quickly as well. And just after that, Sereno is able to get out of the leadoff walk here in the third. It's your fifth third out of the game, brought to you by Fifth Third Bank here today. Time for JJ the Field General, presented by Michigan First Credit Union here today. Water for Sal Jackmantonio behind the second base bag there. JJ is anxious to get the treats. Looks like he gets a couple here today. And now your DTE Energy Kid Race, the mascot, getting ready to commence here. It's Lancelot, the mascot, to run here today. Never know in these day games here. It's a bit hotter, I'm sure, for Lance, but we'll see what he does. Jackson, the young man in the blue shirts, chasing him to second base.
Lance got quite the head start there.
He did.
Yeah.
And Lancelot heading around the third base bag, coming up limp a bit as he holds his right hip. Jackson, runs into the home plate umpire there. And how about Jackson speeding his way home? Your DTE Energy Kid Race, the mascot, goes to the kid again here today. Looks like he wants a second go-around there. He heading to first base back.
Awesome job from Jackson.
Banks out there for his third inning of work now. He'll face Tucker Rayburn, Kevin Lambert, and Frankie Luska here in the third inning. Only blemish so far for Pierce was the walk with 2 outs in the second, otherwise cruising through this one.
Just as looks really calm and comfortable at top of the mound today. Mentioned he was trying to bounce back from his most recent outing when he allowed season-high 4 earned runs on 6 hits through 4 innings against the Woolly Mammoths. I don't know why. He's just been very, very comfortable against this Utica team so far this season. Hasn't allowed more than a single earned run throughout the course of 3 outings against the Unicorns, so he's had their number.
So Tucker Rayburn off to a good start at the plate so far. 5 of 12. A double mixed into the equation as well. Strike 1 to Tucker Rayburn.
So Phillips able to draw the lone base runner so far in this game for this Unicorns team as the fastball filters in for strike one, 91. We've seen that trend up a bit more at the end of inning 2, and now the beginning here of inning 3 has been around 88 on average. But he uses that fastball efficiently, even with an average of 88. Reminds me kind of Greg Lokinen. Very low opponent's batting average on it, 161 checking into today.
And even if that fastball, say, hovers 86 to 88, we mentioned velocity, and we use that term a lot, but at the end of the day, it's about locating that fastball. If he's locating it well, that can supersede, say, if you're tossing 93, 95, but not locating that pitch well. Finding the strike zone is paramount. And right now, Pierce is doing a nice job of that, along with moving that ball away from the barrel of opposing bats. So it's been fun to watch so far. Very efficient, as you mentioned.
The 2-2. Excuse me, swing there. Rayburn has some speed. Lopez Rios quickly fires to first, and he got him. Nice look from Juan Lopez Rios from his shortstop position.
Showcasing the arm there. That's what they missed with him out of the lineup in July, in addition to his bat. But now both are back. Play of his at shortstop and offensively finding some groove as well.
First pitch to Kevin Lambert, a fastball in for strike one. It's a light Unicorns bench here today. Again, Spencer McGee is carted over as a emergency substitution from this Mammoth team. Told you the help is on the way for the Unicorns. Another position player coming over for them at some point this upcoming week.
Spencer McGee looks good for the Woolly Mammoths just last night. Playing a little first base, and he was down in the 9th spot of their order. Was productive in the bottom third of that second Woolly Mammoths win.
They had a 9-batter inning, which made a big difference in that game.
Yeah, it was that 5-run fourth. When they were trailing 5-1 entering that inning, came out of it up 6-5, game tied up 6-6, and then ultimately won it 7-6.
Started with that solo shot home run by Lamar Briggs, and I'm intrigued to see whether that might make a little surge again for him. We saw those 4 home runs all in a row.
Yeah, very short time frame when he did hit him earlier this year. So maybe he can replicate that.
Righty and righty. Here's the 2-2 with 1 out. Bounced him in. Slider there from Banks. Mostly curveball here tonight for Pierce. Sometimes it's hard to differentiate the slider and the curve. Has similar break, similar velocity as well. Curveball in general a bit slower, which would match tendencies of any pitcher really. The full count delivery, chiseled again. De Los Santos' turn. Quickly out of the glove, can't get it. That might be just the first hit against Pierce Banks tonight. That's kind of how they've scored those balls here today, and that is what they score it. Infield single for Kevin Lambert. The third in this game between these two teams. See a lot of fans with the ice cream here today. Some in those USPBL helmets that they kind of turn upside down.
I saw one of the, I believe they're pineapple.
Yes.
Pina colada. It's one of our specialties.
Swirly,
yeah, the swirly pineapples. Those looked incredibly good.
I remember there was one year I was collecting those helmets. I think Dairy Queen was selling them. I think sometimes I would just go to Dairy Queen to buy them as a kid. Then not buy ice cream even.
Sounds like me with Happy Meals at McDonald's.
Get the toy?
Yes. The apples didn't mean as much.
The apple slices, huh? No. Luska back in the first, grounded out to the second baseman, Castellano. Grooves that ball inside, 2-1. Donovan Curiel would be next. He struck out back in the first. After him, Drew Galassi, who grounded out in what was a 1-2-3 inning for Banks. Allowed just a walk here in the second, and with one out in the third, a single. He stands at first. It's Lambert. Well stroked to center. Good beat on it from McConnell. Now he has to bail out at the last second. He can't make the catch. Lambert speeding his way to third base. He will get there standing up, and now runners on first and third.
First real traffic we've seen on the base paths against Pierce Banks today. That was absolutely punched to center field. McConnell had to make quite the adjustment. Turned out to be too much. Slipped a little bit. Now runners on the corners with less than 2 outs, and Curiel is due for a hit.
I wonder if that got lost in the sun, maybe at the last second or at some point where he had to decide how far back he was going. It's a bright sky here today, hardly any clouds.
Yeah, similar to yesterday.
Literally, there's 3 clumped together.
They're small, too.
Over the Jimmy John's Field sign. There's some way in left field that wouldn't impact play, and that's about it. Oh, there's one to the right of the light tower here as well. But other than that, it's about as clear as you can get. Everybody happy to see that after the month of rain it has been. There's one clump. Probably the biggest one, and that doesn't say much. They ruled that Luska ball a hit. He remained on first base just because of the weirdness of that play. Here's the 1-1. Slider in for strike 2.
Second tour through the order now for Banks, so naturally hitters will begin to adjust. Typically you see opposing batting averages go up second time through, third time through.
Slides up the 1-2, fastball away. The 2-2. Pounded foul. The extra base power against Banks picks up a little bit. Second time through the order. And this goes for today as well. He has only allowed 1 extra base hit the first time, and that's just over 50 at-bats of action. 4 walks to 18 strikeouts as well. They walk a little bit more as play goes on, and they double more. 3 doubles and a home run against him second time through. Lambert started this action with an infield single. Proudly standing at third base. Frankie Luska over at first. With the single that dropped, Ben McConnell losing it maybe in the sky here. And Curiel able to reach out the hands and foul off. Is that the changeup there?
Looks like it down and away.
Doesn't throw it very often. Not a lot of break on it, but the spin almost indicates a curveball.
I mentioned second time through the order. I've spoken to a few pitchers in the league recently who have said maybe first time through don't show a particular pitch because then second time through allows you to keep the opposing hitters who are trying to adjust off balance.
Whiff and a miss. K number 4 here today.
Next up, the center fielder, number 24.
We've talked about it in the past. There's some gaudy numbers
from Banks in college. Over 300 career strikeouts in 5 seasons at Adrian. Strikeout to 9 around 8.5. Walks per 9 were a bit elevated. It's kind of carried that into the USPBL as well. 11 Ks per 9, 4 walks per 9. Flair fouled on the left field line. And if he continues at 11 mark, that's kind of elite status, at least here in this league. The walks, you'd like to maybe cut that in half, and he'd be in a perfect spot then. Still draws a decent amount of contact, gets about half ground balls when balls are put in play. Opponent's average pretty low coming into today. 0-1, swing and a miss. Slider by him there. Noah Childress would be next. Banks hoping to strand everybody where they are and get out of it right here, though. The first 2 hits on the board here in the 3rd inning haven't been fairly hard hit, though. Here's the 0-2. Swing and a miss. Struck out Drew Galassi, who's frustrated with that one. 2nd K of the inning, the 5th of the afternoon for Pierce Banks. Jason takes over on the play-by-play when we get back.
When people keep repeating that you'll never fall in love, when everybody keeps retreating, but you can't seem to get enough. Let my love open the door. Let my love open the door. Let my love open the door to your heart. To your heart.
Milk, milk, milk. Yeah, guzzle milk, drink it all. Make a milk waterfall. Cookie milk, stack it tall. Milk with no rhythm at all. Make you run fast milk. Stay awake in class milk. Pour it by the glass milk. Is that a mustache milk? Boom, 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 base milk. Smile in your face milk. Go for the goal before you know you going all the way milk. Milky high, milky hay. I hope you have a milky day. Live your best life milk. You out this world, Milky Way. Put you on the spot milk. Question, got milk? Show us what you got. Hashtag got milk.
Welcome back into the USPBL Network. Miguel Sereno getting set to take the mound once again here on a sunny Sunday afternoon at Jimmy John's Field. Beavers, beg your pardon, the Hoppers with a 4-0 advantage after the early home run off the bat of Felix Abaret. Rare extra base power off of Sereno today. That was a 3-run shot from Abaret. Sereno's first pitch to Colton Horner, down and away for a ball. Horner grounded out back in the first. Same story here in the 4th.
Next up for the Hoppers, the right fielder number 10, Greg Vaughn Jr. And how has Greg had a tremendous career playing for the Long Island Whitman Blackbirds.
Greg Vaughn Jr. will now step in with 1 down here. More often than not, Sereno's outings have gone 4 or 5 innings throughout the course of his impressive season so far. Told me that goal is to reach a level where he is being signed by an affiliate. Among other individual goals this season, his first pitch to Vaughn Jr. Once again down and away. Vaughn Jr. homered a couple of nights ago off this Utica pitching staff. He punches the second pitch he sees to center field. However, it's right into the grasp of Drew Galassi. Quickly 2 down for Miguel Sereno.
Next up, the first baseman, number 44, Nick Kreitzer.
So now Nick Kreitzer, who had a double in the second, will step up to bat, one of the lefties in this Eastside lineup today. A 6-game on-base streak for Kreitzer now after the double. Swings and misses at the first pitch. First time Sereno has dealt a first pitch strike in this 4th inning. Quickly 2 down by way of contact outs. 1-1, up and away.
Really nice looking double for Kreitzer. Had to steam to the gap in left center field. That's the thing when you have these powerful guys as well. It's a lot of times, oh, look at that ball, just lodged in the netting there.
That isn't something you see every day. Just perfectly snuggled in there.
And that fan couldn't get it out, actually. It's still sticking there.
It was a bit of a struggle. He gave it a try, but couldn't get it out.
Huh.
Well, that becomes a part of the Jimmy Johns Field scenery for this 4th inning. 2-2 counts on Kreitzer with 2 down. Sereno hoping for a 1-2-3 frame. And they'll complete the strikeout to give him just that. So Miguel Sereno settles in the east side half of the 4th. Still a 4-0 lead, though, for the Hoppers on this Sunday afternoon.
I'm all in with HR and Organizational Development Council.
I'm all in with Marketing and Business Development Council.
I'm all in with Operations and Member Experience Council.
I'm all in with CEO Council.
I'm all in with Lending Council.
I'm all in with CFO Council.
I'm all in with Technology Council.
Our credit union is all in with CUNA Councils.
Piloting a hot air balloon is my wife's passion, and she couldn't have a better wingman than my Chevy Equinox. Its stylish design rises above the rest, and with its 4G LTE Wi-Fi plus great gas mileage, Equinox keeps us connected mile after mile. With my Equinox, the sky isn't the limit.
Lease a 2021 Equinox LT for just $277 a month. Put it in D and see why Chevy drives the Motor City. Visit ChevyDetroit.com.
Pierce Banks takes the mound for his 4th inning of work. Prior to that, just a reminder that you can enter for a chance to win $250 and 4 front row tickets to the championship game. Text Chevy Detroit to 555-888 or visit ChevyDetroit.com/USPBL for official rules.
Well, you couldn't ask for a better inning to try to quicken your game and pitch count for Miguel Sereno there. He labored through a few to begin the game, but back-to-back innings where he has faced the minimum. Got a nice 1-6-3 double play off the bat of Joe Burke to end the 3rd. Line out on the 2nd pitch, or ground out I should say. Line out to Greg Vaughn Jr. after that. And on the strikeout to Nick Kreitzer. And Banks trying to do the same thing that he did in the first 2, kind of inverse of what Sereno has done.
Banks' first pitch to Childress is swung on and lifted to left field. Tracking back to make the play from his shortstop position is Juan Lopez Rios. Banks had a 1-2-3 frame to begin things back in the 1st. John Pinchman now steps up to the plate. He is the 14th batter that Banks has faced so far today. Struck out back in the 2nd inning.
Well, Pitchman is trying to be the catalyst to this lineup at times. Nice extra base pop, 3 doubles and a home run to this point. Struggling in the average column at this point. He did a hit for average and for major power in college, so it'll be interesting to see if that does show up here at the professional level.
And 19 homers at Warren University in his senior year. Hit .368 as well, as Jeremy mentioned.
That's impressive.
It really is. The 0-1 to him. Fouled back. Count now 0-2. More often than not, Banks has been working ahead in the count today, which has helped what's been a pretty efficient effort so far. Banks went to high school at Parkway Christian School in Michigan, which is less than an hour away from here before moving on to Adrian College. Here's the 0-2 to Pinchman. Struck him out. Strikeout number 6 of the day for Pierce Banks.
I like the look there from Banks, kind of mixing up the pitches, mixing up the locations, keeping Pitchman on his toes. Second time he has struck out here today. And Banks looking for his second 1-2-3 inning of the day. Has to get through this man who's been getting on base at a decently high clip lately, though.
Isaac Phillips drew a walk back in the second inning. That was the first time we saw a batter reach base against Banks.
Took some close pitches to boot as well. Certainly the last one borderline at the bottom of the zone against Banks. And it was in this very scenario as well that he reached the first 2 outs being recorded. Childress and Pitchman grounding out and striking out before him. But he is one of those guys that creates a presence on first base. Makes you think about him over there. Probably bluffed 2 or 3 times when on the base paths before.
60th pitch of the day from Banks is a strike called. Count now 2-1 on Phillips. There's a player who, as Jeremy noted, can put some pressure on you when he's on the base paths. Has this athletic stance that he's been known for. Swings at the 2-1 on the ground. Bobbling it over there as De Los Santos has to recover and could not do so in time. So Isaac Phillips has now reached safely twice today.
And even as the play is going on, putting on pressure there because
exactly.
De Los Santos bobbles. It got by him a decent amount to the left side as well. And knowing that he had to get that ball ultra quick if he was going to have a chance to beat Phillips at first.
Speaking of speed and athleticism, John Hodo batting 7th today and playing second base. Steps in, the Chicago native. He swings at the first pitch. De Los Santos, Juan Lopez Rios, shielding his eyes from the sun, and that ultimately affected him a little too much. Advancing to second is Phillips, and Hodo settles in at first. That sun, Jeremy, that you noted earlier, comes into play.
And that will be a hit. You can't rule an error on a ball that's lost in the elements here in this fine game. But, yeah, he's looking up and seeing something that really hasn't impacted him here in this game. But we've seen it a couple times from various fielders. You think clear sky, oh, it's going to be a great day to catch a baseball. But there's a lot of obstacles. The lights at night, the sun during the day, the clouds at times covering up what is a white ball.
At one point, Pierce Banks was 1 pitch away from making this his second 1-2-3 frame of this outing. But now a little pressure to work with as Tucker Rayburn in the 8th spot doing the catching today for Utica steps in.
We've seen this twice now, though. Miguel Sereno theoretically could have had 2 outs to begin the first inning, and a strikeout to Castellano would have made it a 1-2-3 bid. Instead, 2 infield singles, hit probably 30 to 40 feet down the third base line, and the big fly by Aberrett. Can Rayburn do it here?
Rayburn punches this to center field. McConnell will come in to make the play, and Banks wiggles his way out of a little trouble towards the tail ends of the 4th. Still a 4-0 Hoppers lead here on a Sunday at Jimmy John's Field.
We're the financial champion of Michiganders. Whether you're a goal-getter or dream chaser, an empty nester or up-and-comer, anyone in Michigan can bank with us. Michigan Schools and Government Credit Union.
Dunham Sports is a proud partner of the USPBL. Big names, low prices, delivering value since 1937.
As your neighbor who works at Ascension, Michigan, and a cardiologist who's practiced for more than 20 years, I'm going to keep asking, how are you feeling today? Your care can't wait. Getting care sooner can mean catching things before they get worse. At Ascension, Michigan, our ERs and our hospitals and other sites of care are maintaining strict precautions for your safety. Studies have shown that people will get care sooner if they're encouraged by their doctors, family, and friends. Get the care you need at getascensionmichigancare.com.
I'd like to thank our proud sponsor, Bell's Inspired Brewing. For the past 35 years, Bell's Brewery has been inspired to brew beers that you can count on, just not for taste, but quality. From Two-Hearted Owl to Oberon to new classics, official hazy IPA, or the easy drinking golden ale. No, yeah, Bell's has brewed inspired beer since 1985. Bell's Brewery, Comstock, Michigan. Don't forget to drink responsibly. Well, Miguel Sereno back out once again now for his 5th inning of work, and a reminder that this is a 7-inning game on a Sunday here in Utica. We had 2 6-inning contests last night between the Beavers and Mammoths, both entertaining in their own right. First one was a 2-1 victory for the Beavers, followed up by a 7-6 win for the Woolly Mammoths. Utica at 19-10 on the season. Entering today, best record in the USPBL, hoping for win number 20. And Miguel Sereno will try to quiet this Hoppers lineup and give his offense a few more chances. Christian De Los Santos in the 9 spot will lead off this 5th inning.
And Jason, if track record says anything, this will probably be the last inning for Miguel Sereno. Not so much that it's the 5th, but just based off pitches, hasn't really gone into the 80 threshold so far this year.
Last 3 starts have been in the mid-70 range from a pitch count standpoint.
Sebastian Selway is beginning to tune up, and he cut his hair. I had to double take down the, or maybe he has it in a ponytail down there, but it looks a lot different this far away.
1-1 draws a swing and a miss, now 1-2. Have you ever thought of the man bun look when you've grown it out in the past? Or
I have not.
Okay.
No, I'm one of those guys that as soon as it gets where I have to roll out of bed and do something with it, I want to cut it. So sometimes I don't always get to it, but that's my strategy. I'm sticking to it.
The easier, the better.
Yes.
De Los Santos will turn it over to Ben McConnell and Juan Lopez Rios as he goes down swinging. Strikeout number 5 of the day for Miguel Sereno. High strikeout numbers on both sides. Pierce Banks has struck out 6 through 4 innings of work.
Just needs his offense to catch up here. Really good job to reel things back in. Not any offense or production really since the 2nd inning where they added their padding run.
McConnell has reached in each of his first 2 plate appearances. Sereno working quickly. The 1-0 is fouled off.
And that's something he really hasn't been able to establish much today until lately. Tempo, that's a big part of Miguel Sereno's game. Slows it down quite a bit with runners on base.
1-1 clips the outside corner, now 1-2.
And has had to pitch from the stretch majority of the beginning part of this game. Which, when you get yourself in a 4-0 hole in a 7-inning game, can do a lot of pressure points, I guess, for your offense.
You're right, it is considerably slower when he's working out of the stretch versus the windup. I mean, he's delivering pitches every 15 seconds or so when it's out of the windup, and there's a wonderful rhythm to it, as we see once again here. 2-2, lofted high in the sky to left field. Drifting underneath it to make an easy play is Frankie Luxka. 2 down.
That's 8 outs in a row, quietly.
Open for back-to-back. 1, 2, 3 frames. Easier said than done when Juan Lopez Rios steps up to the plate.
I feel like more often than not, though, these home runs have been so big in these games, and that shows you what it can do for you and these offenses in general.
Lopez Rios fouls off the 1-0, now 1-1. Harkening back to last night, we talked about that 5-run 4th inning for the Mammoths and their comeback effort against the Beavers. It all started with the charge from the Lamar Briggs home run. They have just been so important in games lately. 1-1 pitch is down and away, now 1-2. Lopez Rios is a guy who, when you talk to people around the league, they'll tell you he maybe has some sneaky power for a relatively smaller guy and a smart base runner when he gets on. Has a hitter's count. 2-1 drifts away. Make it 3-1.
Somebody got that baseball down there. It's no longer.
No, it's not a part of our scenery anymore.
Lodged into the fence there.
Oh, the 3-1 to Lopez Rios. Strike called. Fastball at 90 miles per hour. Count full now.
Miguel has lost a little bit of velo on that fastball. It doesn't seem to affect him that much, though. He's been able to rack up some strikeouts lately. Needs one here.
Lopez Rios stays alive with that two-strike approach. Native of Napa, California, missed the entire month of July with a fracture in his hand. Was in the leadoff spot primarily throughout the month of June. Then Ben McConnell took that role over. Lopez Rios slides down to 2, but has been equally effective since his return. Here's a payoff on the ground. Lambert at shortstop today. Another 1-2-3 frame for Miguel Sereno. Back-to-back and 9 straight retired.
There's nothing better than a ball game at Jimmy John's Field and a cold beer from Midland Brewing Company. Hi, I'm Kyle, the head brewer at Midland Brewing Company, here to wish you a stellar time making memories at Jimmy John's Field. And we hope that you're living it up with a Copper Harbor Ale in your cup. You can find more of our selections here at the ballpark and around town at your favorite bottle shops too. We hope you have a ball at the game, and remember, enjoy responsibly. Let's play ball.
At Fifth Third Bank, we're working hard to make banking a Fifth Third better, which means we put 166.7% into everything we do.
I think you can only give 110%.
Well, with free checking, fraud protection services, and an automatic savings tool to help you quickly reach your goals, 166.7% is possible.
Oh, wait till my 8th graders hear about this. They're gonna be like, it's not possible. But I'll guess it is.
This is banking, a Fifth Third better.
Well, look at Pierce Banks getting ready for inning number 5 of his day. Has struck out 6 throughout the course of 4 innings of work so far, and has really bounced back from that previous outing that we talked about when he allowed a season-high 4 earned runs throughout the course of a few innings of work. The Adrian College alum looking comfortable today. Hoping to keep this Utica Unicorns lineup quiet. Utica was shut out a couple of games ago to Westside 8-0. Haven't seen it so far this year, where in 2 out of 3 games Utica hasn't scored a run. They did a couple of days ago in that draw against Westside 4-4 due to the time limit. But Eastside hoping to make a bit of a statement today.
Some big MLB news. Fernando Tatis Jr. is in the lineup in right field. Injury which nobody really knew how long it would take to recover. His 3rd time on the injured list, has not played since July 31st when he partially dislocated his left shoulder. But they feel that the outfield might be a better spot, maybe with less contact for that injury.
Moving over from shortstop.
So that'll be interesting to track.
Kevin Lambert, the number 9 hitter in the Utica lineup. Pops the first pitch up. Christian De Los Santos will watch it drift out of play.
I have not kept up with the Tigers at all to see if Cabrera has homered, but I have my answer just looking at the score. It's 11-0 Cleveland.
Ooh, okay. You were keeping me on my toes yesterday with that. But you're delivering some not-so-good news today for the Tiger fans in the building.
Well, I'm sure concessions will still benefit from the home run chase, though.
Yes.
Keeps everybody in the seats despite the 11-0 score.
Largest crowd at Comerica Park since 2019 last night.
Yeah, 30,000 plus, right?
Yep. believe it was in the 32,000 range. Kevin Lambert played his college baseball at Western Kentucky on the Division I level. Even count with Pierce Banks. Nobody on. Here comes the 1-1. Down and away. Count now 2-1 on Lambert. Had a single back in the third inning. Luxka and Curiel also due up in the Utica half of the fifth.
It's funny that Banks' pitch count has kind of caught up with Miguel Sereno. Sereno has been so efficient in his third, fourth, and fifth innings. Banks has stretched it out a bit more. We saw 2 base runners in the third, 2 more in the fourth. So some pressure pitches from Banks and more snappy innings for Miguel Sereno lately.
7th start of the season for Pierce Banks. Sereno has made more starts than any other Utica pitcher so far this year. Banks, one of the more creative pitchers in the USPBL, won't necessarily overpower you, but we've seen his arsenal, a wide array today. Change-up, slider, curveball, 4-seam and 2-seam. Here's a 2-2. On the ground, De Los Santos had to dive, and he will not be able to make a play over at first. So Lambert reaches safely. We've seen a few infield mishaps over the past couple of innings. Frankie Luxka takes over, a guy who was described early on in this year as an on-base machine. Had a single back in the third. Has hit a couple of rough patches throughout the year, but the primary theme has been excellent pitch selection, drawing walks, working counts. Lux got a Madani University. Was lightly recruited coming out of high school. And just a couple of offers. Madonna was one of them. And a very successful career there. Has really utilized being lightly recruited out of high school as motivation into his professional career. Told me that everything goes with the success at the plate. It's all about the body, the legs, the timing. Getting into the habit of, in his words, vigorously working on those things. Count now 1-1 on Luxka. For 4-0 Hoppers lead. Pierce Banks trying to hold on to that. Luxka awaiting the 1-1. He'll take a strike called, now 1-2.
Maybe not the time to do it here with 2 strikes, but maybe Jim Essian tries to get this offense going. Start a runner at some point here. Haven't had a lot of base runners here today, so maybe even tougher to do that. Just want to quickly get yourself out after you get one on, but got to get something moving here in a 4-0 game.
Again, we're playing just 7 innings today. So running into the final few innings here for this Utica offense to try to claw their way back for the vast majority of the season as a team. And they've led practically every prominent offensive category when you think of hits, home runs, team batting average. Luxka's been the igniter in that for the most part, getting on base out of the leadoff spot.
And Jason, somebody's just been tossed from the...
A fan?
Is it a fan or somebody from the dugout? Paul Nochi.
No, this is, yeah. Paul Nochi's coming out of the Hoppers dugout. Not liking the previous sequence.
We've seen him be pretty animated before, and he's going to be animated to Sal Giacomantonio here. So the second time that Nochi has been ejected this year, maybe on the
check
swing call.
Yeah.
Before he got tossed, you heard enough is enough from your umpire in the middle of the diamond here today, and he let him fly.
There have been a couple of borderline pitches throughout Luxka's plate appearance here. Now a 2-2 count as things settle back down. Here comes the 2-2. Grounded wide of the bag, foul. Runner at first is Lambert. Seen plenty of throws back to first. He slides back in safely once again. Mentions Luxka's Madonna career was hitting .400 with 7 homers and 29 RBI when his senior season was cut short due to the pandemic. Could have very well won WAC Player of the Year.
There's certainly parallels between him and Taylor Jellikowski. Jellikowski now the co-manager of the Westside Woolly Mammoths, coming to the Utica Unicorns and moving on to the Minnesota Twins organization. Taylor with a little bit more power. Carried that along to WAC Player of the Year honors that Noah Childress was able to get this year, but two guys that have worked with each other since getting to the USPBL as well.
Luxco waiting a payoff. And there's the strike called that Banks was looking for. K number 7 in our score books today for Pierce Banks. Jeremy, we have the Good Luck Madonna helmet once again in the booth today.
We do, yes. Should I keep it here or should I bring it home? I was going to bring it home, but there just was not enough room in the backpack the other day.
Were you making a part of the decor in our booth? Or
I was just trying to make a statement here to you.
Okay. Yeah, I mean, we have a friendly Lawrence Tech Madonna rivalry in the booth, but it's okay. I did tell you yesterday I love the look on the helmet with the logo. Donovan Curiel, a California native, steps up to the plate. Fouls back to first pitch, 0-1.
And Jason, I hate to break it to you, I did not realize that either. Two guys that look very similar, but this is actually Pierce on the mound here.
Now we have Pierce Banks now taking over. Similar names. That's something we've had to catch ourselves on throughout the season.
So he getting his first strikeout here in the 5th, but regardless, from one Pierce to the other, first name versus last name.
So Pierce Banks taking over in relief. Beg your pardon, Hayden Pierce taking over in relief for Pierce Banks. Hayden Pierce out of the University of Pacific in California. Chino Hills native. Both Curiel and Hayden Pierce, both from Southern California. One on the mound, one in the batter's box.
An undervalued reason why the Hoppers were able to win that game the other day. We interviewed him post-game.
Here comes his 0-2 and fine strikeout number 2 of his relief outing.
He pitched an inning and a third, no hits, no walks, 2 strikeouts, 17 pitches. That doesn't tell the whole story, though, because he came in with the bases loaded and was able to get one of those 2 strikeouts. And a point in the game where the Hoppers were reeling just a bit against this same Unicorns team the other night.
Brings up Drew Galassi. 300 batting average entering today.
We've seen him fake that bunt a couple times. Yeah. You wonder whether it was just a decoy or something he was looking to do. Maybe he answered your question there.
Rarely does Galassi go 0 for 3. He's 0 for 2 so far today. Ground out back in the first and a strikeout in the third inning. Kevin Lambert, after his leadoff single in this inning, still over at first. Galassi fouls back another pitch, now down 0-2 in the count. Noah Childress on deck. Been in that cleanup spot throughout the year for Utica. 0-2 pitch is cut on and missed. So 3 Ks to wrap up the 5th inning of work and the first for Hayden Pierce today. We'll step aside on the USPBL network. Hopper still protecting a 4-0 lead.
First State Bank is a locally owned and operated business. We're part of your community. At FSBCares.com, you'll find ways that we're making a difference by featuring locally owned and operated businesses, providing access to helpful financial resources, and engaging with community. FSBCares.com is part of our commitment to the neighborhood because strong neighbors mean stronger communities. Where good neighbors do great things. Member FDIC and Equal Housing Lender.
Every summer, my family loves to have a neighborhood movie night in our backyard. And with my Chevy Blazer, I can head out and get everything we need for a great night. It has plenty of room for picking up friends and a cargo management system that keeps all our supplies in place. You know, it may be movie night, but my Blazer is the main attraction, wherever I go.
Lease a 2021 Blazer 2LT for just $295 a month. Put it in D and see why Chevy drives the Motor City.
Welcome back into the USPBL network. Tossing the play-by-play duties back over to Jeremy Otto.
Thanks, Jason. Sebastian Selway coming to pitch for the Utica Unicorns here today. Miguel Sereno, really nice job at the end of his outing. He gave up all 4 runs in the first 2 innings, 3 of them in the first inning off the home run by Felix Abaret. But since has put together a nice out streak. What is it now? It's 1, 2, 3, 4. Actually, I got to date back here. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 in a row. Just a walk mixed in. Otherwise, it would have been a bit more. That was to start the 3rd inning. But what can we expect from Selway, Jason?
Out of Sebastian Selway, you look at him so far in the USPBL, you can expect to see the curveball, cutter, and 4-seam fastball.
Pedro Castellano today struck out back in the first, walked in the 3rd, and will whittle this one to Selway. We've seen, 4 or 5 balls like that so far here today. A lot of them have ended up in infield singles. That one handled well, though.
Fielding your position as a pitcher is an underrated part of it. Only position with elevation that you have to field in baseball, and Selway did well to hop off the mound there and just flip it over to first, where Noah Childress resides today.
Pitch away. Selway has been kind of a nice, quiet addition to this team. Just 1 walk to 8 strikeouts. Gave up his first earned run the other day, but even in that outing, 2 innings, 1 walk to 4 strikeouts. Hard hit to Curiel. 360 spin. Some style points for out number 2.
You knew we were going to see a little flair eventually out of Curiel, no matter if he's at shortstop, third base. It's bound to happen at some point or another. And a quick couple of contact outs for Selway.
And those plays were going to be decently hard for him to make in the first, but it's almost surprising that he didn't make them, at least one of the 2. Joe Burke, 0 for 2 today, strikeout looking. 1-6-3 double play started by Sereno as he drops in the breaking ball for strike 1. Throws that curveball 47% of the time. I'm going to guess, and I think I'm right, that that's the highest percentage of any breaking ball used in the USPBL, or right up there. You don't often see the breaking ball over the fastball and or the cutter, which he has both. But when you're working on pretty much 1 inning outings, that's what he's done every time with the exception of his one the other day. You can do that a little bit more. Luska lays out. What a huge play for a 1-2-3 inning for Selway here in the 6th. The 3rd consecutive 1-2-3 frame, and it's the 4th consecutive where Sereno and Selway have faced the minimum. Unicorns hanging around. It's still 4-0.
We build roads, bridges, wind farms, and pipelines, schools to skyscrapers. Our members create monuments. We operate. We're the operators and mechanics behind the advanced heavy machines that move Michigan forward. We maintain boilers and HVAC. Our members run the complex heating and cooling systems that we all depend on. Our training is second to none, and safety is our priority. We are Operating Engineers 324, and we keep Michigan running.
Make your move with a quick and easy mortgage from Genesis Credit Union. We have mortgages to fit your life. Genesis Credit Union. Visit us today.
Pierce back out there for inning number 2 out of the bullpen. Allowed a leadoff single in the 5th, but other than that, was able to record 3 strikeouts in a row to the top of the lineup. Luska, Curiel, and Galassi. That group has struck out a combined 6 times here today and gotten on base once, which is rare for most of those hitters as well. Noah Childress, John Pitchman, and Isaac Phillips, the 3 scheduled for Jim Essien here. Childress today 0 for 2. Phillips is the only man that has reached in that group of players. He has a walk and an error. That young fan hanging on to the netting.
He's enjoying himself.
Trying to climb out on the field here. Say hello to everybody watching here today. Zelda Castillo chiming in, Jared Harris as well, Dave Page, Todd Rayburn. We appreciate everybody watching on this Sunday. If you're in Michigan, hope you enjoy the weather at some point here today. Maybe you're watching on your patio, your front porch. It's a good day to get outside. Here's the 0-1. Curveball low. So Hayden Pierce taking over for Pierce Banks after he went 5, striking out 6 here tonight. scattering base runners, not allowing a run in this game. Just 3 hits as well. Here's the 1-1. Chiseled again. Here's Lopez Rios. Not an easy play, but he guns it over to first base for the first out.
Yeah, another one of those slow developing plays that he makes look easier than they actually are. Able to charge in, and that arm of his is an absolute gun. And he's been fun to watch since his return over at shortstop.
And a key cog to this lineup, we've already talked about how this lineup has been constructed lately for the Hoppers. It only makes them better. He's hit seconds a majority of the time since coming back. I believe he led off once. That was kind of his spot before Ben McConnell took over after being hit in the hand. Slicing fastball by pitchman here. Aiden Pierce with a strikeout rate of 8, walk rate of just 1.5 has been really good in big-time situations like this out of the bullpen. High fly ball, that one gonna carry away, foul at the edge of the bullpen. Jack Ferguson beginning to tune up a bit down there. He's already pitched twice this week. And a young fan able to pick that ball up down there on Sunday Fun Day. Kids stay at the ballpark. Looking for strikeout number 4, the 0-2. Punched it foul back towards the sweets here. Jeremy Addo alongside Jason Ross Jr. to bring you the call here today. So glad you could tune in. PJ Kradowski, our director. 4 runs off 4 hits and 1 error for the Diamond Hoppers. No runs off 4 hits and no errors for the Unicorns thus far, as we play in the bottom of the 6th inning in a 7-inning game. 0-2, couldn't check it. That's for strike 3. 2 up and 2 down in the 6th. So now as we update those numbers, that's 4 walks to 24 strikeouts. It's got to be the best ratio in the USPBL, at least for pitchers with a lot of innings. $24 of them now for Pierce. His first outing all the way back on June 12th.
It feels a little crazy to look at, but 12 consecutive outings without a walk. His command and control of the pitches in his arsenal has been good.
Hardy swing, pounded it back to the screen there.
Phillips did draw a walk earlier, had a single in his subsequent at-bat.
Seems like every time, and literally it is every time he comes up, the first 2 outs are recorded, and then he's reaching base. Created a little bit more havoc in the 4th after the single as well by John Hodo. Chokes up on the bat here with 2 strikes, the 0-2. In there for strike 3. Wow, Pierce lighting up the K's here in the 6th. 5 of them in 2 innings of relief. Still on fire this season.
Times are tough right now. It feels like the bottom of the 9th and we're down by 2. But we've seen tough times before. And just like baseball has always been more than just a game, Chief Financial Credit Union is more than money. So it might be the bottom of the 9th, but we're the home team, and we've got runners on base. Batter up, America. It's time to play ball.
When people keep repeating that you'll never fall in love, when everybody keeps retreating, but you can't seem to get enough, Let my love open the door. Let my love open the door. Let my love open the door to your heart. Let my love open the door. Let my love open the door. Let my love open the door to your heart.
12 outs in a row for this Unicorns pitching staff. Jack Ferguson now comes on and try to continue that streak. His walk to strikeout ratio right there. He's another guy with Pierce. He's 4 walks to 18 Ks coming into tonight. We just saw Pierce strike out his 5th batter in 2 innings of work. Jack Ferguson also with a slim 1.42 ERA in his 2nd year here with the USPBL. Pitched with the Beavers last year in Von Joshua's team. He'll face Colton Horner, Greg Vaughn Jr., and Nick Kreitzer. 4-0 this lead for the Hoppers. It's been that way since the end of the 2nd. Double by Kreitzer. He eventually scored off a pass ball. Hustled down the 3rd baseline. It wasn't an easy run for him. Met by the tag of Miguel Sereno, which was just late. Fastball away. So Selway with a nice inning, taking over for Ferguson in the 6th. 1-2-3, all contact outs. Got a nice play by Frankie Lusk on a dive to left to cap it off. Horner 0 for 2 today. He's grounded out twice to Kevin Lambert at short.
Ferguson, you can expect to see the 2-seam fastball, slider, and changeup.
There's the slider high.
Slider is his 2nd most prominent pitch behind the 2-seamer. Throws it a shade under 30% of the time.
At 2 hits, that's it. Off of that slider this year. He hasn't walked a batter and has only hit 1 to 6 strikeouts. That surmounts to a 105 average. Struggles with the changeup. Maybe that's why you don't see him throw it too often. Hitters are 5 for 6 on that. There's the fastball to even the count at 2-2 as it's whittled foul. Still no history down at Comerica Park. They're in the 6th inning, still 11-0. Oh my goodness, Jason, there is history. In a different way, there's a perfect game going on for the Indians.
Huh.
McKenzie throwing a perfect game. That's Tristan McKenzie through 5 1/3.
You know, he had some struggles earlier this season, was down in AAA, but has found a resurgence. His first career start was against the Tigers last season.
Here's the 3-2. Away as the Hoppers look to pad this lead. Feels like they don't need to, but you never know.
Yeah, well, wouldn't mind some more insurance runs into the bottom of the 7th. Did you happen to see the history last night with the Diamondbacks? Tyler Gilbert throwing a no-hitter in his first career start.
Really? I did
believe
not.
He was the 2nd pitcher to ever do that, if I'm not mistaken.
Huh. That's pretty awesome. Was he a high prospect?
I'm not entirely sure, but you can also say this is the first pitcher to do that in the modern era, because I think the first time we saw that was way, way back when. So interesting there. No hitter in your first career start.
I hate to say it, but it only goes down from there.
Yeah, that's the tough part about throwing a no hitter in your first career start.
0-1 is in for strike 2. Greg Vaughn Jr. is 0 for 2 today. Pop out and a line out. Has anyone ever thrown a no-hitter in Major League Baseball in back-to-back starts? Matt Snyder
do
says
a little
once.
research. Okay.
He's working just as hard as he has on the first day here on his last day. Johnny Vandermeer. Cincinnati Reds. As Greg Vaughn Jr. goes down for the first out here in the 7th. First K for Jack Ferguson. Well, that's one highlight in the season that's been pretty forgettable for the Diamondbacks. 38-80 heading into play today versus the Padres. So Johnny Vandermeer threw a no-hitter on June 11th, 1938 against the Boston Red Sox as a member of the Reds. 3-0 their score there. And then he threw another one. My goodness, 4 days later. I mean, that happened. Certainly a lot more back in that day for starters. As that eats up Childress over at first. Hodo cuts it off to make sure Horner stays at second. That's a better play than the eye will tell you, given the situation here. So first and second with one out. So he also shut out the Brooklyn Dodgers 4 days later on June 15th. 11-0 the win for his team that day. So good work, Matt, there. It's an interesting tidbit. And probably something that won't be done
No.
maybe again.
That was a different era.
For sure not with 3 days rest. Punch to center. Drew Galassi lines it up. They're going to keep Colton Horner at third base here. So the pond full of hoppers with only one out in the 7th. That's Adrian Cook playing third base coach over there. With Paul Noce being ejected, arguing that check swing earlier. Tossed from the dugout, which you don't see very often, but every once in a while when you draw. I'm just interested to know if that built up maybe over the game. There was a couple close pitches. Check swings. Top of the order now, Ben McConnell. We'll look at that sweeping slider to the outside part of the plate. McConnell has a single and a walk today, also lined out after a decent battle versus Sereno in the 5th, second to last batter that Miguel faced. Infielders playing about halfway here. Everybody looking for that double play with the bases juiced and one out. The way this game has gone for the Unicorns, really can't afford any more runs across the plate. The 0-2, swing and a miss. Second out, second strikeout. And Ferguson trying to wiggle out of this jam with Juan Lopez Rios striding home now.
Yeah, very impressed today with how the Eastside pitching staff has handled the Utica lineup, and particularly the heart of that order. When we touched on it before the game, Galassi, Childress, and Pinchman all never really finding a groove today offensively.
Poke to center, and Galassi is there for the third out. Unicorns bats. We'll try to get going when we get back here on the USPBL Network. Stick with us.
I enjoy renovating my home, so getting materials with my Chevy Silverado is a daily trip. But as the strongest, most advanced Silverado ever, it's perfect for all my projects. And with the most functional bed of any pickup, plus the power-up down tailgate, my Silverado helps me with everything I need. Of course, a little assist from a friend doesn't hurt.
Lease a 2021 Silverado Custom Crew Cab for just $199 a month. Put it in D and see why Chevy drives the Motor City.
Let my love open the door. Let my love open the door. Let my love open the door to your heart.
New flooring from the Carpet Guys is as easy as 1, 2, free. 1, just call the Carpet Guys for fast, free, and home shopping. 2, get massive warehouse direct savings. And 3, I mean free, as in 4 years of interest-free financing. That's 1, 2, free, but only for a limited time. So be wise and call the Carpet Guys at 855-4MY-GUYS or visit carpetguys.com today.
Be wise, call the Carpet Guys at 855-4MY-GUYS.
Pierce looking to close off this game here in the 7th. What a run it's been for him since coming in the 5th. 6 batters, 5 strikeouts. Nobody has reached. Look to continue that here against a pinch hitter. It's Spencer McGee coming in for John Hodo. McGee and Ray, the 2 guys available off the bench here today. I think they were more so keeping Ray in the fold in case they needed an extra arm again here today. Ray has already pitched twice, so probably looking to stay away from him if possible. Fastball away to McGee, I beg your pardon. Hodo was 1 for 2 in this spot today with a single. It's been a light hitting day really for both of these teams after the home run by Aberrett in the first. Put them out to a 3-0 lead, which they've never looked back on so far. Added another run in the second, and that 2 base runner inning came after 2 infield singles by Miguel Sereno. He struck out the next batter, so theoretically could have been out of it. It was right at somebody, but Curiel could not glove it down at third, and that is how this Hoppers team took advantage of business early on. Swing and a miss. Fastball tailing away. He continues what's been an awesome outing so far. 7 batters, 6 strikeouts. Looks like McKenzie has gotten through 6 with a perfect game against the Tigers for the Indians. No walks, 7 strikeouts. Impressive stuff and something to watch going forward. Not sure what his pitch count's at, but his offense has made him sit a little bit too. A 6-run second and a 5-run third. 0s ever since. He probably doesn't mind that, getting out there as quick as he can. Trying to keep that tempo going. Rayburn looks at a curveball outside. Tucker today 0 for 2 with a ground out and a pop out. De Los Santos pinching in at third. Here's the 1-0. Fastball tailed back. Well, we want to see you at the ballpark next week. Thursday through Sunday is the game rotation. A few of those to end out August. It'll be the Beavers and the Hoppers, 7:05 Eastern Time. For Key West night, Hoppers will be wearing those commemorative jerseys, which I believe they are auctioning off like they have done previously with those type of nights. 1-2 on Tucker Rayburn. Pierce again ahead in the count. The only 3-ball and 2-ball count he's faced today was Frankie Luska. He struck him out and makes quick work of Tucker Rayburn as well. Strikeout number 7. Well, we talked to Hayden Pierce because he was able to slam down the game the other day. He's going to do that and then some here tonight if he continues what he has already. Just 1 out left for this Unicorn squad. His previous high in a game for strikeouts was 5. That was in a 3-inning affair as well, back in his first outing. The 12th versus the Beavers. 3 innings, 1 hit, 1 walk, 5 strikeouts. Had a no-walk in 4K appearance on the 24th of July versus the Mammoths, but gave up some runs there. Just 3 earned runs in total given up this year. What else is new? He's ahead in the count. The 0-1 curveball popped it to left. Burke has a long way to go on that one. Stretches out, but it hops over the fence and out of play. I'll stick around. Jason Ross Jr. has made his way down to the field to interview our Rochester University Player of the Game in our Auto Lab post-game show. Hoppers looking for a big win here today. Second consecutive, potentially, over these Unicorns. Nobody on. 2 strikes, 2 outs. Bottom of the order due up here. Ryan Ray, the only one left off the bench here. Righty and righty for Pearson Lambert. Here he comes. Poked over the head of Castellano. Lambert not giving up his at-bat, and that's 3 singles for him here today. Infield single back in the 3rd, single in the 5th, and a single here in the 7th. Coaching staff will like to see that. Guy's still fighting, especially against this arm and what he has done against the 9 batters he has faced. 9 batters, 7 strikeouts. Pierce Banks had 6 before departing through 4. 3 hits given up, another base runner, an error, and a walk as well. 2 is the most we have seen in an inning for the Unicorns as Luska looks at one outside. Frankie today a single, sandwiched in between 2 outs, a strikeout and a ground out, back in the 1st and 5th. Unicorns have not collected an extra base hit so far here today. The Hoppers just with 1, but it's the one that matters. The home run to Aberrett, his 6th of the season. Cruised into play today with a .537 slugging percentage, did Felix. Certainly a man to watch as these playoffs unfold. 2-0. Bingo for strike 1. Average fastball velocity has been 88 this year for Pierce. He's gotten it up to 91. Good movement really on all his pitches. Above average spin on the curveball and the slider. His 4-seam fastball around 2,300. That would be good for a slider for a lot of pitchers here in the USPBL. Here's the 2-0. 88 in for strike 2. Luska has been very selective here today, as he often is. Thought he would maybe coax a walk in the 5th before striking out looking, and it was in that at-bat on a potential check swing for strike 3 that Paul Nochi was ejected, barking from the dugout. Payoff pitch coming. Runner on first base. Gets a comfortable lead over there with Kreitzer playing behind him with 2 outs. And both Lambert and Luska with 2 quality at-bats to end this game. They don't want to go down without a fight. And you start talking about base runners. If Luska can reach, you got some power coming up. Colossi, a couple batters away. Childress after that. They haven't homered in a long time, but the Bear can only sleep for so long. 3-2, runner moving. Little pop fly, De Los Santos, too much area to run. It nearly squeaks out of play near the umbrellas down there. So Miguel Cabrera is going to be due up second with the perfect game on the line. Wouldn't that be a story? You want to hit 500 in style, break up a perfect game in the 7th. Runner in motion again with a 3-2 count, and Luska walks. Look out here. Donovan Curiel has struck out 3 times. You got to think that's not going to continue at this clip either. Colton the Horner takes a visit. Last time that Curiel struck out 3 times was 9 games ago against the Beavers back on July 25th. Curiel takes a big cut and miss there. All of them strike out swinging. Number 1, number 4 for Pierce Banks, and number 2 for Hayden Pierce after coming in the 5th. Single and a walk have made things a bit interesting here in the 7th. This Unicorns offense has been a bit sluggish here tonight on a Sunday. 0-2 in for strike 2, or the 0-1, I should say. Drew Galassi due up next. He's also struck out twice. Top 3 in the lineup have had trouble with the K's so far here tonight. Again, has him down 2 strikes. High. Miguel Cabrera now striding to the plate, still with the perfect game intact. He just showed a graphic 50 home runs versus Cleveland in his career. Certainly a bugaboo that team has been for the Tigers. 2-2 on Curiel. Swing and a miss. Pierce punches it into the books there. What an outing by him. 8 Ks and 3 innings as he shuts down this Unicorns lineup. 4-0 the Hoppers lead. This is a big win for them too. And it's back-to-back losses for the Unicorns as they try to hold on to first place as well. Jason Ross Jr. will catch up with our Player of the Game, brought to you by Rochester University, and our Auto Lab postgame show next here on the USPBL Network.
Ain't too many of the teams can defeat us. You on the sideline, warming up the benches. Need a lesson, I can show you, I can teach you. You see a Diamond Hopper fan, point them out. 8, 5 ball, catch a frog, walk it out. 8, every time we score, I'm throwing up my diamond. Both hands in the air, same time, and let's rock. Diamond Hoppers, Eastside Diamond Hoppers. Diamond Hoppers, we the Eastside Diamond Hoppers. Diamond Hoppers, Eastside Diamond Hoppers. Diamond Hoppers, we the Eastside Diamond Hoppers.
You hear about the promo that Jimmy's John's got going on? 5 off 20? How they pulling it off? Magic? You got David's Copperfields in there? Show yourself, Copperfields!
Jimmy John's. $5 off orders of 20 or more.
Elite athletes want to be closer to what fuels them. So we built them a gym behind the milk section.
What's going on here?
Oh, they're training.
What? In the milk section? What is happening? What you guys are doing here?
I've always had milk in my fridge, but I've never really trained in a fridge surrounded by milk. I feel like I've been able to level up my training and do things that others haven't.
No, they're training back there. It's a full gym.
Hey guys, keep it up.
being close and nearby milk, it's how I hydrate, it's how I recover. It's important to be at arm's reach.
We're the financial champion of Michiganders. Whether you're a goal getter or dream chaser, an empty nester or up-and-comer, anyone in Michigan can bank with us. Michigan Schools and Government Credit Union.
Piloting a hot air balloon is my wife's passion, and she couldn't have a better wingman than my Chevy Equinox. Its stylish design rises above the rest, and with its 4G LTE Wi-Fi plus great gas mileage, Equinox keeps us connected mile after mile. With my Equinox, the sky isn't the limit.
Lease a 2021 Equinox LT for just $277 a month. Put it in D and see why Chevy drives the Motor City. Visit ChevyDetroit.com.
Welcome into the Auto Lab postgame show, brought to you by Rochester University, alongside our player of the game, Felix Aberrett of the Diamond Hoppers, after a 4-0 Eastside win over Utica today on a sunny Sunday afternoon at Jimmy John's Field. Pleasure to have you with us again. Another shutout win for the Hoppers today. Felix, you got the ball rolling with a 3-run homer back in the first inning. What were you looking for in that particular at-bat?
I mean, just waiting for that fastball, and he gave me the fastball, and I hit it hard.
That was your 6th home run of the season. You look at this pitching staff that obviously was an equally important part of the shutout win today. What do you think of the work of Hayden Pierce and Pierce Banks?
I mean, both of them they've been outstanding all year long, and today they went out there and did their job.
Any message from your manager, Paul Nochi, offensively today about what the team wanted to do as a whole?
I mean, he just keeps telling us to do what we're doing. I mean, offensively, we've been doing great, and just keep the ball rolling.
And your fiance, who you met at South Alabama, is in attendance today watching you. I guess how cool is it to have some family and friends in the stands?
I mean, it's great to have some of that support. I mean, she flew all the way out here. She's from Norway, and she came out here to watch me play.
Awesome. Well, thanks for your time, Felix, and congrats on the win. That's Felix Aberrett after a 4-0 win for the Hoppers over the Unicorns here at Jimmy John's Field.